would have given him a ride. Leave to him.
All right, we can call our meeting to order and begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any adjustments to the agenda?
None.
We'll consider the minutes from the last meeting on September 12th.
It should be included in your packets, and barring any errors or omissions, I recommend approval as written.
So moved.
Second. All right, all in favor? Okay. All right, and then we have opportunity for public comment.
Mr. Elkins, welcome.
Thank you for being here.
Folks, I had a question on the new business, but I can wait until then.
No, that's fine.
Is that all right?
Yeah, okay. Anybody else from the board have anything they want to? Okay. We'll move right into our presentations.
All
For
right,
eighth grade.
so I was looking at the agenda and I'm a little bit afraid that, well, the videos I have to show you today are not upcoming events, but that is our plan. I wanted to share with you the rubric that we are using for these videos, because it's actually,
It's okay.
We'll be all right. It's actually one of the first rubrics that I use with my kids that they've actually used themselves during the construction of the project. And part of that I know is because we went by every row and I wrote it up on a piece of chart paper, and then we talked about what do you do to achieve this as a goal, and then underneath it in different color, I wrote all of the things we brainstormed. So I consulted that again and again and again. We took one row a day, and we all agreed that that was a nice manageable chunk, because going over all of a rubric at once, if you've ever had to do that, you know you lose your kids after the first row. So our plan is to create what we're calling news magazine videos, with the specific purpose of being able to sort of hand them over to you, and they will inform you of things going on in our school community. It's a really lofty goal to think we can do this every month. I could see being able to do that in another year or two, but this year I could see maybe every couple of months, because I'm also learning this along with them, and we're learning a lot that's actually been really great. So anyway, our first project was to break into teams and make a video that introduces the people in your team. And they had to take all of the roles, like director and screenwriter and all of the things that go into it, editor, camera person, and work as a team to make it happen. Which, as you all know, because for adults and have had to work with others before, it's not always easy. So it was actually pretty great to watch them troubleshoot a lot of stuff. Once the videos were done, we had a day where we watched them and then we talked about them. I said, listen, we should talk about this so that as we move forward, we make sure that we're making great videos. I've seen a lot of great stuff, but let's talk about it in comparison to the rubric. Do you think that it met all of these standards? And if not, what could be different? And they were really good about that too. A lot of them identified their own stuff from their videos, probably trying to get a jump because nobody wants to hear criticism, but it was all really positive and constructive. It was really great. I found it super engaging too. The kids are all in. I was telling James before that today we're talking about, okay, main studies, like what are we going to present about that? And then with each package we put in a commercial, a public service announcement. Their public service announcement idea was, hey, hunting season is coming. Why wouldn't we make a hunting safety video for kids? Why wouldn't you? That's like such a great idea, So I'm really looking forward as we keep going and their imaginations keep getting into it, And also being able to send them out to other teachers and cover stuff that's going on in other classrooms and other things around the school. So that's the plan. I brought a few to show you. I love them all. I don't know if you want to sit and watch them all, but I'll pick a couple and then you can tell me where to go from there.
Okay.
So the other reason I gave you the rubric is so you could also do a little comparison and see what you think. So I'm gonna start with this one. Pretty creative. The very first thing they discussed was their group name, and 3 of the members were identified as jocks and the other one not. So they decided to name themselves 3 Jocks and a Demon. And that's what we had. Can you guys see it okay? I'm
Yeah.
gonna just turn off the other light.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is your host, Joy. I love playing soccer, and you're watching 3 Jocks and 1 Demon. Passing you over to Noel for
Hi, I'm Noelle, and I do sports like soccer, basketball, and softball. And sometimes people get hurt. Also, I like physical stuff.
Wow, what a wonderful person she is. Anyways, I'm going to be passing you over to Nancy for now.
Hi, I'm Matt, and I love basketball.
Wow, that man's really going places. It says here that there's a thief.
Don't like that. My name's Lenny. I love doing drama and chorus and stuff.
Wow, what a terrifying demon that was. All right, folks, that's all for today. See you next time on 3 Jocks and 1 Demon.
So they clearly had a great time.
Yeah.
And when Matt ever made that shot, he couldn't wait to come back to So, I mean, I think as a parent, they're definitely having a good time. We talked about adding to our rubric for each video that we make, having a row that's catered to that about, because we really could use something in the rubric about what kind of information we should be putting out there about ourselves, like how, And I'll show you the one that really brought that question up, actually. It's also very creative. Like, this was very creative. They called it Keeping Up with the Troglodytes. If you're not familiar, a troglodyte is basically a caveman.
Oh.
So they decided to present in caveman speak.
So that was set up like a reality TV show where they're like watching them in the house and then they do the interviews after. That was adorable.
Right? It's totally adorable. And everybody was like, when's the next episode coming? Right? Which was awesome. And then we talked about, somebody said, I love it, but I don't know if I feel like I got to know anybody. And I said, fair point. And so I don't know if you noticed where they had the little tags that would have their name and say cook, and that was their intention of introducing us to their interests. But the feedback was it was kind of quick and not really upfront enough for people to catch, and all of that's so valuable. You know, they take that and now they're gonna turn it around. I have no doubt that they will also create another. And that was suggested as one of the videos for our next package. And so I wasn't sure about that. Okay, one more. These guys call themselves the Nomies, and they were made up of fake award. There was the Nomies, and so this video was the nominees. So the nominees of the Nomies.
I'm here with nominee number 1, Owen Young. So Owen, what do you do in school or out of school?
I do basketball for Oregon and I play football for Bruin.
That's very interesting. Thank you for your time. I'm here with nominee number 2, Samara Booth. So Samara, what do you do in school or out of school? I do cheer, and I'm going to be doing softball this year for Orton, and I do gymnastics for Penobscot Valley and Bangor. That's a lot of stuff. And I do soccer. Number 3, Hope Perkins. Hope, what do you do for school? I do soccer, basketball, and softball. Anything outside the school? No. That's great. I'm here with nominee number 1, Ileana Owen. Hey, Ileana, what do you do in the school? Soccer. Oh my God. Hi, I'm Hope Perkins, and I'll be announcing the nominees today. First up is Ileana Owen for Best Style. Next up is Samara Coons, for most likely not to graduate.
Yeah. Clearly didn't go by me.
Last but not least, Owen Young for Best Offensive Lineman. That's how I felt on my own. My husband did it.
Creative, for sure. They also found themselves in a pinch because they did not get all of their filming done, and so they had to put in the clip with Aliana where she cracks up, and then that's all. They had a lot more planned for that, but they ran out of time. And so, you know, that's the stuff you gotta come for, and so they did the best they could, and, you know, for a first video, I think they were all pretty fabulous.
Yeah.
For sure.
Very
They're
cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
No, that's very interesting. It's a pretty cool activity.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
really did have a great time with it and thinking about themselves. I learned a lot. I'll do more probably with them in thinking about themselves and activities to get them brainstorming a little bit more than they can introduce. 'Cause they're all fascinating and they all have great things about them. But one kid gets talking sports, and then I'm sure you noticed, and that's the theme, everybody just talks about sports. So I really love next year when we get at that, to do some brainstorming beforehand about what makes you, you know, that sort of thing. So, yeah, we're all learning.
I'd like to jump in and just kudos to Kathy. The staff all hear me say, you know, if there's anything special going on around your classrooms, I want to see it. We want to see it at school board. Will you be willing to come and do some things with us? And Kathy's always the one right up in front, jumps right in, obviously, you know, and takes on everything. And I so appreciate it. As you know, I mean, all of you either have or have had a middle school student, and it takes a special person to be with a middle schooler all day long.
And many of them.
And do this kind of thing and keep them engaged.
No, 10th graders. 10th graders are the worst.
Keeping them engaged and having them do things that they love. Incidental learning happens all of the time. They are learning so much, but they're doing it while they're having fun. So that's important.
Yeah, it really, I can see just so much being able to be, like from all of the standards, being able to be addressed through this, with writing, public speaking. I mean, just in these videos, the evolution of their awkwardness from clip 1 to clip 5, I mean, it's remarkable, and I only see that getting better as the year goes on, and the ones that are truly comfortable really will take off with it. And the ones that aren't comfortable in front of the camera, being able to apply their behind the camera skills with the editing and other stuff like that. So, yeah, it's exciting.
Well, I think just them working as a team is huge too, because everybody's gonna have different ideas and
Yeah.
how do you,
I did have one girl who was like, these are teams for the whole year. The kids have named them the Sticks of Doom, which are the sticks that have their names on them in the jar and draw them, right? And so that was what I did for the first one. I was like, I don't really know you guys very well. I think we leave this up to fate. And so we'll consult the Sticks of Doom. And yeah, I did have one student who was begging me, please tell me this isn't going to be our team all year. And I'm like, no, you're going to definitely have choice. I want you to be able to be on the story you're really interested in, and hopefully somebody come up with it. Poor child today, we were doing sheep ball, and she was like, yeah, I want to be that one. And then 2 of her other teammates signed up for it. When she realized, she was like, oh, it's all good, it's going to be fine, we've all learned something. So, yeah, the teamwork piece is huge.
Yeah.
We need that so much.
Yes, for sure.
And an authentic way to put that in there is key. Yeah.
Great.
Also, since we're talking teamwork, my 10th group was the winner in the Maine Studies Olympics. Their teamwork was phenomenal. Really phenomenal.
There's a reason why she jumps at everything, is because she has to be the best at everything. She's a little bit competitive.
My girls were the best. I didn't do anything.
But you are slightly
Except
competitive.
bring donuts.
Thank you, Kathy.
No problem.
Yeah, thank you so
Any
much.
questions or anything?
Sounds great. Thank you.
No, this is awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a great night.
You too. You too, Kathy. I'll see you next week.
Yeah.
BGG.
I'll try to remember. My daughter and her family are going on vacation. And I'm going to be home.
All right.
Thank you, Kathy.
Any old business? No? New business, we have the bill warrant.
Should be there, I don't know if you signed it.
You think you did, right? You signed this?
We gotta get the, yeah. Then we're good.
Okay. And then we have policy review.
I can do the first one second if you want, and then the other 3.
Sure.
So JKAA physical restraint seclusion, we've had multiple times. The recent change, or the big recent change, if you look at it, is that now you used to be able to do a meeting, an IEP meeting after 3 restraints, and then it was good for the year. Now you have to do it every 3 restraints. So that's your significant shift.
Okay.
I don't think any questions you have on that, but everything else is pretty much the same.
And there's no end to that, it just keeps going.
There's one little out, if it happens in 30 days, you can agree not to meet again, but in that 30 days, but then after that, you have to start the meetings all over again. So,
Do we have anything like after so many too, we start like, because we have alternative options? Like, have we ever even gotten to this? Like, how big a deal is this?
Often these things happen in special purpose schools outside of school. They're only done for student safety, so you have to do it through seclusion as well. So oftentimes those alternative solutions end up in either one. They do try to do positive reinforcement. They do try to do interventions that will prevent that. But at the end of the day, typically if it's reached a point for safety, then that is where we will end up. I don't know if I answered
So,
the
well,
question or not.
and yeah, so I mean, what do we have right now? What are our options? So when
For-
somebody needs
Yep.
And we don't, do we have a room? Do we have
Yep,
an area?
In this building,
What-
you mean, we have 2 rooms. We have 2 rooms if we ever need to go there. The majority of time, what we try to do is de-escalate the situation. We use QBS, and we talked about that before. We try to get the room as empty as possible and allow whatever we need to shift the students' focus and to kind of bring things back down.
So if we took them to that room, does that count?
We don't necessarily,
I guess, what is it?
if
what
we escort
counts?
them, is that what you're asking me?
Well, I guess, I mean, I could read this more carefully,
No,
but
no,
like,
I'm-
what's considered seclusion? Like, if you just put them in the room and they're just
seclusion
in
is the-
there,
yeah,
that's
so-
okay.
Seclusion is defined in here, but a summary, I would say, and Mary Ellen, if I misspeak, please step in, but a summary essentially is when they are in a space but not allowed to leave even though they've tried to,
Okay,
which is different than saying, here's a quiet room,
right,
go in there, the student complies, sits, that's not a seclusion.
okay,
And you don't have to be in that room with them, you can monitor, but if they have or if they make an attempt to leave and you block, then that is a seclusion.
okay.
Is that?
Yeah, and what are they, I guess, physical restraint always seems to change too. So
It does.
what are they saying as a physical
So
restraint?
physical prompting
that
is not, it's when you restrict the student's movement or capacity to
arms.
move
Okay,
in a manner that it's different than saying, can I pick you up because, you're hurt, you're upset, whatever. That's not considered restrictive. It is when you're saying, no, you're not going to move.
okay.
It's the simplest way I can.
All right, so they are letting you like briefly
Yeah, and you can do
contact.
physical prompts for students who need physical
Okay.
prompts, those kinds of pieces.
And you could say, take my hand, let's walk together
Yeah.
down the hall. That would be okay because they're kind of willingly doing that with you and you're just kind of guiding them in that way. But
Okay.
we're taught to keep our hands off children as much as possible.
Right,
Only when there's an imminent risk of them hurting themselves or someone else should we be putting hands on them. And so our staff are trained in de-escalation techniques to avoid needing to do that. And as James said, sometimes we take every other student out of the room, and that might mean they tear the room apart. But as long as they're not throwing an object directly at someone, or they're not about to break out of a window and hurt themselves, we try to just let them calm themselves, or we give them the techniques that we've been taught to calm them. I think we've had 1 this year, 1 restraint. Does that sound right? 1 restraint. So we are not having many at all.
Other questions?
oh, how long do you have to notify, it probably says to too, but how long do you have to notify the parents?
Every time.
But like,
That day,
that day,
or
okay.
by the next.
Oh, I'm sorry, how long before? I got you. Sorry.
When I was in college, there was a classmate of mine that got really upset. And I remember going to him, just put my hand on
Mhm.
him, squeezing him, just talking to him, settle right down. Does the school, I mean, I suppose you're around these kids all day,
Yep.
and you know who you might be able to help and who you're better off not.
Yep.
But I wonder, is that something that's
So it depends upon what you mean by squeezed. We have students that we offer some sensory opportunities to when they start to escalate, and they absolutely respond well to those. There are others that, we need to wait out and kind of give space, because for them, the space bubble is what I call it, grows. And as it grows, the more you come into it, the higher they go. And so you need to move out. So it really depends on 2 things, your knowledge of the child, and then there are 3 specific strategies that are taught through QBS that they try to utilize to access where the child's at.
Is this the sort of thing that teachers are studying and applying nowadays?
We have selected staff that are trained in it. Yeah. I think in the district we're at 29 or 30-ish, somewhere, staff that are trained in this so that they can handle any situation, including every building administrator.
Not to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Other questions? Well, this is your first read, so barring any other questions, I would recommend approval as written for passing forward to your second read.
we get a motion?
Check motion.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Thank you. And now we have 3 that are related to transportation.
Yep, so I'll do them all together unless you have specific questions. They all meet the requirement for transportation. After long conversations with our legal department back and forth, because they are not technically our employees, they are through the ESC, if you recall, through transportation. The concern was that if we share employees back and forth, whether it's for different duties or whatever else, that we would be covered. So it was determined that it would just be better to put them here. They already have these in the ESC. So I can take them one at a time and talk to them, but they're fairly standard as far as what we have to have for criteria for be licensed as a bus driver.
Mhm.
And so these are then annually and tracked by Steve Llewellyn, our transportation company.
So this is the first time we've had.
Yes.
At least with this.
Well, you probably had them 30 years ago. She used to own our buses. Back in like the 80s, but
Gotcha.
I don't know what we had for policies in the 80s, so that was before my time.
So this essentially is translating the requirements to.
Yep.
And just putting it in a policy.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
So who kind of does make sure that they've done all this stuff?
Sue
Is it
Llewellyn,
the,
transportation director.
okay.
Any questions on first reading of these 3? Okay. Move them to the second reading.
Motion.
Second. All right, all in favor? Next, we have the principal's report.
Yes. You all have my report. A couple of things I just want to talk about from the report. Every year I get contacted from UMaine, Husson, and Eastern Maine to send brand new people, brand new students that are learning how to be teachers to our school. They ask for us, the kids ask for us. It's rewarding to hear those kinds of things. At this point in time, we have 3 students from Husson, 3 from UMaine, and 1 student from Eastern Maine Community College that are doing their hours here. And, in my opinion, they're learning from the best. They're scattered all the way throughout the building, doing a lot of work with our kids. So that's very exciting for me. We just had our Title I meeting, our first one of the year. In my report, you'll see that we were going to schedule it. Well, that's because I wrote my report a couple weeks ago. We did schedule it. And we had, I believe, 6 parents that showed up to our Title I meeting. All of our screening, I know that's positive. All of our screenings have been completed, and our Title I people are working with the students now, providing one-to-one or small group instruction to those kids. So up and running. The building is busy. The building is always busy, so it's very exciting. Any questions for me?
Thank you. We'll move on to the assistant principal.
All right, you have my report in your packet. Our fall sports season is about halfway through right now. We've completed about half of our soccer games and we're doing well. I haven't heard tonight's results yet. We have quite a few games away right now. But we're doing really well, and we've had some cross-country meets, and we're averaging about 6 or 7 ribbons for the team each meet. I know the first 2 meets, our girls' teams came in first place. And I haven't heard the results of tonight's meet yet to see how that went, but it's going really well, I think. PTG had their first meeting actually the same night as our last school board meeting, and we haven't met yet for October. Right now, we have a pie sale that's in place, and we have plans underway for the trunk or treat, and the haunted hallway is done by the Sci-Fi Club, which is run by Kathy Johnson, who was just here tonight. So see, she's got her hands in everything. PTG had quite a few new, I shouldn't say quite a few, but a handful of new
There
faces
was
at the
people
last
there.
meeting. That seems like quite a few to us.
Yeah.
And we're super excited with all the new faces, some of the younger pre-K and kindergarten parents coming to join us. So we hope that that's a trend that continues. And then in the classrooms, we have been focusing a lot on our core values. We have a bulletin board in the lobby outside the office that's showing when individual classrooms meet some of their expectations, and maybe they're filling a marble jar or they're doing something like that. And when they reach their goal, they get to put an eagle up on the bulletin board. And so far, I think 3 or 4 classrooms have met that goal already, and they can vote on what they want to earn, such as a pajama day or an extra recess. So we've already gotten to see some of that stuff happening. And something else of note that I've really been enjoying so far this year is watching a lot of the different grades blend together. So I've seen first graders leaving a 5th grade classroom and coming down the hall from that, or I've seen middle school kids into an elementary classroom doing things like buddy reading or working on some things together. And it's really nice to see how we can make use of a pre-K-8 building like that. So that's kind of fun. And it's not in my report, but we just started the NUIA testing, which is called the main 3-year testing. That window started just this week. Today was the first day that anybody tried it. We had a little technological glitch this morning that was out of our hands, but Andrew Ward was able to fix that real quick. So far, so good with the testing. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Thank you. That's great. Good to hear about all that. Okay. People services report.
You should have my report in your packet. As Sharon just mentioned, we gather all of the accommodations for students who have an IEP or a 504 plan so that they can participate in that 3-year assessment. Sharon's done all the work. All I did was gather the accommodations and then she entered them all in. So I give her all the credit for that. And then I shared my student count with you. I think it's October 15th is the official date that we need to give our count. We call it the October 1 count. So these are the preliminary numbers. They may not be exact when Mrs. Cox is done helping me do that, but those are our identified students. We seem to be just up a little bit above the state average, but that state average was from, I think, 1.5 years, 2 years ago. So it's possible that they have increased as well. As we know, we have because of things like COVID and the social emotional needs of students and things like that. So do you have any questions? No, thank you.
Thank you. And last but not least,
Please.
superintendent's report.
You have my report. We've covered it except for for appointments, which I'll go over next. I was submitted as written. The only thing I would note is just remember you have an AOS meeting tomorrow night in Dedham. Or as Michael keeps reminding me, a virtual option if you need it. Just let me know. But either way, that'll be tomorrow night at 6:30.
All right, thank you for all those reports. We don't motion on those. Okay. Any nominations? No. Appointments?
So Polly Miller, beginner band, Brian, it should be Grant,
Oh, I didn't even-
but I'll tell him his name has been changed. A&D boys basketball coach, Jordan Charpentier, A&D girls basketball coach, Kristen Koch, cheerleading coach, and Abigail Elkins, math team. And those are appointments, so they are just for your information.
All right. Any questions about that? Okay, so moving on to no resignations or terminations,
Oh, working on it?
no executive session,
Nope.
and back to any comments or questions from public or the board.
What is the fellow from the person from EMCC, what are they teaching?
They are in the elementary education program. She is in a 1st grade classroom right now, learning to be a teacher.
I think it's a new program there, right?
It's been a few years now, but a lot of our new college kids now, they're going to EMCC to get their electives and all that, and then going on. But the education part, it hasn't been, Heather's correct, it hasn't been around for very long.
And I think what I've heard is they also send their students out a lot sooner
Yes.
on.
We get them
called
early,
practicums.
yes. Mhm.
Is that what you call them? Practicums? What do you call them?
Practicums, yes.
Like I'm used to clinicals. I'm like, what's that the
No,
right
Austin
word?
does as well. We have 30-hour, 60-hour, 100-hour, they come and serve that amount of time in the classroom.
Is the time in the classroom must be credited somehow also?
Yes, and it's, that's part of their class. They need to do that type of thing, and then when they're in there, they have specific things they need to look for and work on. They have lessons they need to teach. Their advisor comes in and watches them teach their lessons. We love having them. And then, of course, it's good for us in the long run, because when it comes time to advertising for a grade 2 teacher or whatnot, then we have potential candidates.
Great.
I wanted to make a quick note, I should have put it in my report, but Abby Elkins, for the math team, we haven't had a math team for about 3 or 4 years now. We haven't had enough of an interest in that, and I, of course, put it out there again, hoping someone would jump, and she did, and she's been recruiting kids right and left, trying to get them on the math team, so we're gonna have a team this year, so we're very excited about that.
Great. All
Does
right.
she even teach math?
She does.
She does?
yes.
I don't,
Math and
like,
science, she's our
Okay.
grade 7 math and science
Yeah.
teacher.
I
Yeah,
can't,
Brenda.
I can't remember what she taught. I thought she taught English and history or something.
All right, so I think we're probably all set to adjourn.
Yes, non-negotiable.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.